Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Dance Teacher Pep Talk. It's been a little while since I have recorded an episode, and I am very excited for today's because today's episode is sort of like one I did last year, right around my birthday. And so last year I did 7 notices at 35, and this year I'm going to do 6 for 36. And when I was listening back to the 7 for 35, I thought, wow, like there were some really good thoughts there. Whether you're a dance teacher or not, I think it's just so helpful to reflect back on your year of life and seeing the lessons you've learned or themes that come up. And for me, I did just that, and I'm applying the 6 for 36 to the dance teaching world. So whether you're a dance teacher, you could apply them in your own life, in your own world, or you could apply them in the dance teacher sense like I'm doing in today's episode. So before I get into the episode, I did want to mention that I am offering a special offering for an episode that I have coming up really soon. So this episode that I have coming up is going to be a Pilates-based work for corrections and critiques that you are receiving for competition, for classwork, all of that. So this is going to be where if you send me a DM on my Dance Teacher Pep Talk Instagram, I will be selecting a few corrections or critiques that people send in and giving Pilates-based method work to help you maybe break through as you prepare for recital, nationals, or whatever it is that you're preparing for. So I wanted to do an episode like that. I thought it'd be really fun and maybe a great way for you to break through in the correction that you've received in a different way, because I have found such a great balance between the Pilates work and the work that I do as a dance teacher. And I found, like, for my own students, some great like aha moments, I guess, if you will, or light bulb moments. And it really helps them to get to where they were wanting to go. So definitely send me a DM at Dance Teacher Pep Talk if you want to be a part of that. All right, so let's get into it. 6 notices for 36. And what I did for this was I journal a lot. I journal in notebooks. I journal on my phone. I just think it's so important. It helps me to get my thoughts in place for the day. It helps me to kind of work through different situations that I might be going through and things like that. And so what is so beautiful about that is then at the end of the year, I can look back at those journals if I want to and reflect on what came up. And so I picked 6 lessons or themes that I really noticed were woven through my year of 36. And so the first one is don't wait until something occurs to do the thing that you're wanting. And I feel this is so common. And some might say, stop making your joy conditional, meaning like when I get this, then I'll do that. Or when I reach this milestone, I will then be able to do this. Or when my whatever it is happens, then I will go ahead and do that job. Or, whatever it is putting off your life while waiting for something else to happen. And this was a huge, huge notice for me in the past few years, honestly. And I've shared about it before on the podcast in many ways, but I think it's just so important. Like, stop waiting for something to happen to live your life. And so ways that this could look like is, you might have these pens or notebooks that you love and you hold on to because you think, oh, I'm going to use that for when recital choreography comes. Or maybe you have specific clothes or outfits or things, and you're going to wait to wear those because you're going to wait for this to happen for you to be able to wear that. Maybe there's a workshop coming up that you're really interested in and that you're really inspired about, but you're waiting for something to happen in order for you to do that. Or, I don't have the time for that, or I don't have the ability to do that right now. Go for it. Sign up, wear the things, use the fancy pens that you love, use the pretty notebooks, because this is your life now. And you can make every day feel special, magical, and unique by taking advantage of all the things that you're wanting to do, the dreams, the things that you're having in your future that you're hoping to do if you're starting to live them now and use them now. So again, don't wait until something occurs just to do the thing that you're wanting. Okay, number 2, this concept of serving came up a lot I feel like, for myself this year in guidance, in different ways and things like that. And I love the idea of serving. And so when I'm talking about this is, how are you serving your students? What are you doing that is in service to their trajectory and their dance career? I truly feel that dance teaching is a privilege, and it's one that I don't take lightly. I think it is so special and such an honorable position to have that I am able to do something I love in a subject area that I'm super passionate about, sharing and continuing that thought, those ideas on to the next generation. And year after year after year, it is such a beautiful thing. But getting down to it, okay, it's, like I said, it's a beautiful job, but when you look at what it is a position where someone is paying for you to teach them. So they are giving you money, or, the studio or whatnot, giving money so that they can learn something. And so if we're not asking ourselves, how are we serving our students? If you even think about it in the service industry, you go to a restaurant, and you have a waiter, a waitress serving you, and, they're doing it with kindness, with respect, with enthusiasm. Your experience is going to be a lot better than if they, weren't really serving it in that way. And also, too, they're providing you with the food that you ordered. So when you are teaching, when you are dance teaching, how are you serving your students? What is the energy that you're bringing to the space? What are you giving them? What are you offering them? And always thinking of that hour, that 45 minutes, that hour and a half, like I said, as a privilege to be in these dancers' lives, to be in these young people's lives, and to really be thinking about what is it that you can bring that is going to better not only their life, their dancing, but their day. Okay. So really understanding, I'm going to talk about energies in a second, but really thinking about, how are you in service to your students? I think that's a question to ask yourself every day when you're planning your class, when you're going in to teach, what are you going to be serving today? All right. Number 3. This is kind of what I was alluding to with the energy work, but the concept of you are setting the tone, you are steering the ship. Now, I have been very honest about the style of teaching that I am. I don't want to be the teacher on the pedestal. I want to be a force or a feeling or a warmth. And in terms of energy, I want the students to feel that they understand that, yes, I have the respect or authority as the teacher figure, but that I am here for them, that I am doing this for them. It is not about me. It is about them. And because of that, when you have that open energy, I feel like you do have the responsibility of steering the ship. So if your students are coming in and they're not with the energy that you're hoping for them to be at, you have a huge role in setting the tone. Are you going to give them something a little calmer today? Maybe they are not ready for a fast-paced, high-intensity class. Maybe they just took a bunch of tests all week and their brains are just totally fried. Whatever it is. Or also, too, if they're coming in bubbly and over the top and chatty, and you cannot get them to calm down, you are the one that sets the tone. How can we harness that energy and turn it into something really productive for our class? So, ways that we can do that. If they're coming in, like I said, high energy. All right, let's give them a high energy warm up. Let's get going and maybe even bring some fun to the class. Maybe bring in some power tasks if their energy is up and high today. If we're in choreography mode, making sure that we're really staying attentive and focused. Maybe having some sort of not necessarily a game you'd play during it, but something like a challenge. Okay, if we can get through this, all right, then we're going to have this at the end of class or, whatever it is. And again, same thing. If the energy is low, do you want it to stay low or do you want to flip the script? What do you want to achieve as a tone in this class? And there are so many things that you can do, especially, like I said, if you have that open energy. It could be a little bit more challenging if you always come in with the same energy every time and expect them to meet that. Of course, yes, there is a good part of that, obviously. They should be coming in with the energy to match your own because, that is the class experience. That's the respect. You give them 100%, you want 110% back talk or, whatever it is. But we also have to give them some grace because we give ourselves grace, okay? We don't go in at 100% every day, but we try to turn it around. And we need to be able to teach them that because that is not something that I feel is a skill that you can just have. I feel that it's something that you grow over time. Understanding how to raise your energy level to where it needs to be. And we as teachers have a duty to guide them in that. And so talk it through, explain that to them. If they're coming in really like low energy and it's not vibing with you, say like, hey guys, what's going on today? Like, I'm really excited about today's class and I really want us to get working on that same level together. So how can we achieve that together? I think bringing it into the notion of togetherness is also hugely helpful and important because they have a part in this. This is not your class. It is our class. And I think that is really an important point and something that will continue to help push your class forward as you steer the ship. All right, number 4. Something that was really important for me this year, especially with the twin pregnancy and having the twins, was living more in flow, to stop micromanaging and just to really trust. Because I had to really, surrender it up and trust the process of everything. Okay. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel teaching through twin pregnancy. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel after the fact that it was there. And you know what? I had a lot of pain. I dealt with a lot of things within the pregnancy that was a lot different than what I maybe expected it to be. And so because of that, I had to go with the flow. I could not control and manage every situation, even though I wanted to, because I'm a highly organized person. And I feel like that's kind of a trait of a highly organized person. But to go with the flow, because you know what I realized is that when I stopped micromanaging everything, I had less stress in a way because I wasn't trying to control every situation, but also everything that I needed to get done still got done. And it got done in different ways, but I think it's really important. It was important for me to see that because I really had to, I didn't have the option of really going through extensive lesson plans before going into class that day. I learned how to do outline lesson plans and going in and really teaching on the spot. And especially when it came to choreography too, I sometimes pre-plan a little bit and sometimes, do it on the spot here and there. But I really had no choice this year. Listening to music in the car was really important for me because it helped to prepare me for my class. But yes, I do feel that when I let go, I stressed less, which is weird because I felt that by holding on to all control, I would feel better. I'd feel in charge. I feel like I'd have, a grasp on the situation. But actually, I really found that by letting go of control, I had less stress. Okay. And it didn't even come down to preparedness. It just was less stress. So, live and flow. You don't need to micromanage. It all gets done in the end. Kind of along those lines too, my number 5 lesson was slow down, slow and steady. Slow and steady came to my mind so much this year. I don't know if it's because of my recovery from the twin pregnancy or what, but I really learned how to slow down. And I learned that rushing is not necessarily the prize factor that it should be. We kind of glorify rushing around and hustling and things like that. And like I said, I really learned that is not necessarily the goal point. So for me, it even came down to safety. Coming back from having the twins, it was me learning how to move again, me learning how to use my core again, me learning how to find center and movement that felt good for me. And I had to go back to basic building blocks that to me felt so boring. And then also it was rebuilding all these layers of that. But what it gave me was a lot of compassion and understanding for the students, because though I could do something, I could do a move, it doesn't mean that my body was ready for it yet. And doesn't mean that my core was engaged properly for me to be able to handle that. And so, like I said, it gave me a lot of compassion for students when they're back to building blocks or students that are coming back from injury, understanding that slow and steady approach. And I even would begin my class this way. The beginning of my classes slowed way down. So during warm up, it was about focusing on correct alignment, functional movement, and warming the body up and getting going and things like that. But if you are setting the space, setting the alignment correctly, we are able to move from a safer place in space. And so that really became a huge focus for me because I realized, like I've said in last year's notices for my birthday podcast, is that you get one body. And these dancers are doing incredibly out of this world things right now these days. And for me, if I could just like pull them back, get them into their true center and into that understanding that like, okay, we're going to move a little bit slower today, but our bodies are going to be stronger because of that. To me, that was a really helpful tool, because when you do move slow and steady like that, you are then able to launch into power and to pick up speed and to, continue on with more challenging items because you're doing it from the right place. So that was a big lesson. And then my final lesson, number 6, and this is more of a life lesson, really. I'll try to apply it to dance teaching, but I think it's just an important one, is what matters most to you? Is it checking off all the items on the to-do list? Or is it getting up and moving for yourself? Is it reading a book? Is it doing, and doing something for yourself outside versus being inside? This kind of goes back to the micromanaging thing and about living in flow, but I feel like this one is kind of separate because for me, it had to do with living versus checking the tasks. Because, I mentioned this in a previous episode, but like, when is the last time that you danced? When was the last time that you were in practice of the art that you teach? And for me, movement looks a little differently, like I mentioned nowadays, because I'm still, recovering and getting back from the twin pregnancy and all of that. But really, asking that question has been really huge. Like, what are you in practice of? And that was like applied to me in so many different facets of my life, like not just dance, but as dance teachers, like we go through this whole checklist of class, like boom, 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 we got through our night, we taught this class, we taught this class, we rehearsed this piece, we did this, and we're checking off all these items. But like, when are we doing this for ourselves too? Like, when are we making sure that we're taking the time and space to give to ourselves? And, at the end of the day, when we look back, are you going to remember those little tasks that you did? Or are you going to remember the book that you read? Are you going to remember that time you went out to coffee with a friend? Are you going to remember that movie you saw because just on a whim you decided to sit down and watch a movie instead of edit the songs or whatever? Because there are always going to be tasks. There are always going to be things that we're doing. But it is the life that we are giving ourselves that's going to bring more experience to the classroom. It's going to bring us more energy because we're giving back to ourselves, filling up our cups, so that our students are going to get the benefit of that. They're going to get the benefit of the inspiration that we were able to take part in, the life that we were able to take part in, not just all the items on the list, because they're going to get done. And also some of them, honestly, like, you don't even need to do. Like, they're there, but like, I have noticed, like I said, from the micromanaging stages that I've stopped, is they don't even need to happen because they naturally fall into place as, the day goes on, or as you're teaching the class, or as you're doing the work. So, not being so hard on yourself and allowing yourself to live and not allowing the crazy to-do list to take over. So these were just 6 notices, themes, and concepts that were really, really prevalent in my year from 35 to 36. And so I wanted to share here, and I hope that they give you some insight or some inspiration into how that you're living your life, and maybe helps you to ask some questions of yourself. What is it that you want to incorporate more of, or what are the lessons that are happening in your year this year, and how can you learn from them? How can you grow from them? And I really, truly want to thank you all so much for your support and love with following Dance Teacher Pep Talk podcast. I'm so excited for offering some new episodes to come. I have like a really fun kind of out there one coming up soon. I'm so excited about it. It's just like really random, but I'm hoping will create some inspiration in your week as well. And then I have also, as I mentioned, that Pilates episode as well coming out. So if you're interested in that, make sure you send me a DM, whether you're a dancer and you have a correction you've been given, or you're a dance teacher that's really looking for a breakthrough for their student. I would love to hear from you. So make sure you follow me over at Dance Teacher Pep Talk on Instagram. And again, I want to thank you so much. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week and a beautiful year ahead.